Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today in deck number 463 we're going to talk about the Blind Seer. This is actually, if y'all remember the last deck, 462 was Urza, High Artificer. This is actually Urza. The Blind Seer was the first Urza card that we got, although it was not Urza. I mean it was, but he was so masterfully in disguise that he got his own legend as the Blind Seer, which it's kind of a cool name anyway. But for 4 mana, we get a 3/3. Target spell, and for 2 mana, target spell or permanent becomes the color of your choice to end a turn. Now, I'll be honest with you, there was only one real. I've had this idea for the Blind Seer for a long time, and what it is, one of the popular things that we used to do, it wasn't terribly good, but Sleight of Mind. Now, Sleight of Mind changes a color word. Like if something says protection from red, you can slide it to a different color word, protection from white or whatnot. And then Magical Hack was the land type word changer. So you could change things like Swamp Walk to Planeswalk or what have you. Now, y'all seen me run Magical Hack in a few decks here and there, but mainly it's for Urborg shenanigans, because nothing's cooler than hacking somebody's Urborg to say mountains, or to where all lands become mountain. I mean, it's just funny. But anyway, as it turns out, there is a bunch of other cards similar to it. Now, preface. This is, according to Architect, this is one of the cheapest decks I have. This is just barely over $50. So, super budget, mind you. And as far as a win condition, we are few and far between here. So we're going to have to take master classes in politics and get our opponents to do a lot of the damage for us, or, steal their creatures or whatnot. But anyway, let's look at the rest of the changing cards, if you will. Now, Alter Reality. This changes the text of target spell. Just a spell. Now, some of them do spell, some of them do permanents by replacing all instead of one color word with another, and it has flashback, so you get 2 uses out of it. So now, this is just a, I'm sorry, it says permanent or spell. So this does both. Glamour Die changes the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances. Now, this one is probably my favorite because of the retrace ability. I mean, we got a bunch of lands, right? Artificial Evolution. Now, this changes the creature type. So, that's absolutely beautiful for those tribal decks that rely on that commander, and we can just change that commander to something like, all cephalids get +1/+1. Mind Bend, this is just permanent, but it does either color or basic land type, so that's pretty neat. Whim of Volrath has buyback, color word, land word, but it's just permanent as well. Sway of Illusion, you just change the color to whatever color you want to, any number of target creatures, so it doesn't say you control, so you can change them all, provided they don't have Shroud or Hexproof or something. And then Moonlace is kind of the more recent version. It's like, hey, it's just colorless now. That way, if somebody plays a All Is Dust, you can protect one thing. Now, let's look at, as far as mana goes, have Scuttlebutt, because it does produce a blue. Eye of Ramos, but let's talk about the Sea Scryer. And I think it's my fault too. I don't have this in any other decks, and I'm not exactly sure why not, because in green we would use a 2 mana 1/1 that tapped for a mana. I mean, yes, it is a colorless mana, but still, this is a mana dork in blue. So, not bad. Now, what are we going to slight or hack? Hack. That's the term I'll use for the rest of it, because that's exactly what it feels like. We are hacking what is to what we want it to be. Now, in addition, obviously, all of these targets have, or all these cards have targets in our opponent's stuff. But you can't really bank on your opponent having, a random Acroma, although that's living the dream. We have Sea Sprite, Pro Red Flying, Coast Watcher, Pro Green Flying, Weather Seed Fairies, Red, Avon Smokeweaver, more Pro Red. We cannot forget the Narwhal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a reserve list card. Yeah, right. I don't. It's. I think half of the cards that are on the reserve list, maybe more than half, even if they could print, they probably wouldn't anyway, because by today, well, even by then standards, this was not a good card. It has Narwhal does have somewhat of a following, kind of like Stormcrow has a following or whatever, but yeah, I don't get it. Treetop Sentinel, Pro Green, Cerulean Wyvern, however, Pro Green. Now we get into the stuff like the Dream Thrush. Now, luckily, a lot of this stuff does have flying, so that's kind of evasion. I mean, we may get some chip-in damage here and there. But this changes a land. Target land becomes a land of the basic land type of your choice till end of team. So this could potentially hose somebody out of their Cradle, of their Academy Ruins, Sarah Sanctum, all those cool lands for one turn. Prism Wake Marrow, Flash. So, it comes into play, target permanent's color or colors of your choice till end of turn. I like that option, being able to give it 2, 3, or all 5, whatever. Shift. Now, I bought a ton of Ice Age back when it was the current hot new thing. I guess we all did. Ice Age was just, we didn't know it was bad. I mean, there was a few good cards in there. We got the first Pain Lands, but anyway, I got Shift, and I looked at it, and I said, this is interesting. I will use this in a deck someday. Here we are, 24 years later, and I'm finally getting around to putting it in a deck. I like the ability to just, during your upkeep, it's going to be blue-red now. Now, Tidal Visionary just changes the color of a creature. Now we get into, like, creatures that, because I was like, man, we kind of need to, win the game somehow. Game's got to end, right? Escape Shapeshifter is in there. I like it. I mean, it's for our deck here, it's kind of biggish, but that sharing the protection, that's pretty neat. Fairy Swarm is just a big blue flyer, or we're hoping it's going to be a big blue flyer, right? And then Benthic Behemoth is probably our greatest game-ending card in the deck, sadly. But an 8 mana 7/6 Island Walk that we're going to hack to whatever we want walk. Now, one other thing, and I kind of feel dirty for including this, because as I said, we are a little underpowered, right? I mean, so I did put Pickles combo in there, the Vesuvian Shapeshifter and the Brine Elemental. Because they're, and I'm not even a big fan of Morph. It is pretty mana intensive to keep that little combo going to where nobody else untaps, but it is a thing and it does exist. Pendril Mist is just a good. It's one of the closer things to a board wipe that we've got. I mean, the land that does this is thousands and thousands of dollars. Pendril Mist is also on the reserve list, so that's a thing. Now let's look at cards that aren't creatures that we can hack. Volcanic Eruption, destroy X target whatevers. Hey. Wrath of Merit Lage, tap all creatures of whatever color you want it to be. Breath of Dreams now has cumulative upkeep. Well, of course, there's that, but green creatures also have a cumulative upkeep. It don't take long before all green creatures are just going to die, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. High Seas, red creatures and green creatures, so you can, hate on whichever. Baleful Stare. I kind of like this. Target opponent reveals their hand. You draw a card for each mountain and red card in it. Now, this is hack and slidable, but you're probably only going to get it once, So if you run into like the perfect Boros deck, you could be like, you draw a card for each mountain and white card in it, or plains and red card, or whatever. Consigned Dream. Bounce target permanent. If that permanent is red or green, hey, put it on top of the library. Insight. Enchantment, so this is a permanent. When one of your opponents plays a whatever spell, you get to draw a card. Hibernation. Bounce all green, blue, red, fuchsia permanents to the owner's hands? Sure. By the way, fuchsia, don't choose that in a sanctioned tournament. I had a judge tell me that fuchsia is not a color, which, by the way, y'all are Magic players, I assume, since you're watching this video. But when I tell that every time the word fuchsia comes up in, everyday conversation, I say with all sincerity, fuchsia is not a color. I had a judge rule that fuchsia is not a color. They don't know I'm talking about a Magic judge. And they just look at me with this weird look, and I'm like, yeah, true story. Life Tap. Hey, this one is really good if there is an Urborg and you've got your hack, Each time a swamp. Yeah, controlled by... The only problem is, Life Tap, you have to target an opponent. So, I'm not sure now. Life Tap is a pretty old card. I'm not sure if that has been errated or not. The Oracle text updated, Cerulean Drake, Pro Red. How about Flash Freeze? Yeah, I know it's a lot of work. Counterspell would be better, but you know what? It's not the flavor we're going for here. Chill. Red spells cost additional too, so you can tax somebody or some color. Essence Leak. Riptide. Now, I dare say you're probably always going to want to hack or like this. I guess there are exceptions. Somebody's producing just an insane amount of whatever blue creatures. Hydroblast, there again. Flash Flood, and Blue Elemental Blast. Now, let's see. What's the closest thing we got here? I guess some removal, maybe? Have, just for generic purposes, negate, a mana leak, and a boomerang. The boomerang is actually dual use. I mean, if we need to just reset something to its factory settings, because we've altered it, we've hacked or slided it, and now somebody else is taking advantage of it, we can boomerang it back to our hands, factory reset it, or what have you. Got a Merchant Scroll to go and find those hacks and slides. A Washout. That's just, it kind of fit of the color of your choice, I mean, Shifting Sky, choose a color, of course. The Skulkin, target blue creature gains Shroud. So we are definitely not going to want anything to happen to our Blind Seer or our big giant island walking Leviathan thing. The Hearthstone is, I, I know it's in there for just the commander, but sometimes that's enough. Just to reduce that ability down to, what, a single blue mana? Traveler's Cloak. I really like this one. It just land walk of your choice. So I chose this one simply because we're already kind of abusing or taking advantage of the land walk thingy anyway. Diplomatic Immunity is one of the best Shroud Granters there are. But let's look at, like, first off, Control Magic. I mean, it's just a great card. We're going to steal the best creature out there and probably win with it. Dominating Licid is... Licids don't get enough love. They're... some of the interactions with Licids tend to be very complex because it is a creature that can turn into an aura and vice versa. So it's very popular to dodge removal because you can just stop becoming a creature and start becoming an enchantment, and now their Doomblade don't work. Clone, obviously, it's real good. Steel Artifact. Now, I love those simple names way back then, because nowadays, when you cast whatever Phantasmal Image, they're like, what does that do? But there's no question when you say, I'm casting Steel Artifact, guess what that does? And of course, then we have Reigns of Power. Now, we do have some non-basic lands. Put in a Rogue's Passage so that our giant island walking thing, if island walk is not a factor, then we can passage it. A Desert of the Mindful, Temple, Halimar Depths, Ponderland, Encroaching Waste. And we're playing monocolored, which we got some flex spots for lands, and Encroaching Waste is a pretty good one. I'm running one snow-covered island. Now, back in the day, in the early days of EDH, we would mix and match between snow-covered and regular, and just because I played around Wake of Destruction for years. I did. And maybe one is not the right thing. Maybe I need probably like 10. But I actively have a lot of decks that are demanding snow coverage, so I'm probably going to be running 1 to 2 snow covers in probably most decks. Just, I don't know. If you've ever been blown out by the Wake of Destruction, and other cards like it, cards with the same name as whatever. Anyway. And our last card is Teferi's Isle. Now, it's in there, I'll be honest with you, because I haven't put it in any deck before. We're on deck number 463, and that's 46,000 cards up there? Is that right? Because there's 100 cards, but wow. So that's 46,000 cards up here on this wall, and none of them so far were Teferi's Isle. I mean, it's fairly decent. Technically, it's a reserve list card, but here again, it's not like they would print it if they could. But it comes into play tapped, and you tap for 2 blue essentially every other turn because it has phasing. So I will get to Tanawa eventually, and I had thought about this with Tanawa, but this, I don't know if I want this in Tanawa. I know who is it that has the famous Tanawa deck. I believe it's the creator of EDH Rec, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's right. Anyway, that is what I have got for the Blind Seer. Like I said, it's one of those weird decks that is probably not gonna. You definitely don't want a one-on-one this Joker. That's for certain. But I would dare say that probably the bigger game, the better, because you've got more options to hack, slight, and steal. So Either way, Blind Seer had to be done. And I thought right on the back of Urza, since we just did Urza, that would be a really good time to do it. And let's put him up here. We'll put him right on top of Urza. Yep. So this is what the. I'm still recording up. Y'all probably realize I'm wearing the same shirt I have been the past couple videos because I did them all in like the same day. But today is what, the 17th, I believe. This is a temporal flux thing happening, but so we should be. I don't know when. I do a set review for Commander every year. And, well, actually, I've been doing set reviews for about everything now. So, can't tell you when that'll be out. It'll be out when you tune in and you see it. But I do appreciate y'all watching. Like I said, y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I believe it is time to shuffle and cut.